Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Lianne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now, and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together.
Hey, leader, welcome back. We are a few weeks into January, which is exciting. It's a beautiful new year, beautiful new opportunities to create and to, I don't know, the word manifest came to me, right? Like 2024 is about the year of abundance, right? 2024 adds up to 8. 8 is a symbol of abundance, and loving leading into this abundant energy and what you get to create. Now, before Carol and I started recording, we're leaning into leadership. When we talk about leaders, we talk a lot about vision. The last couple of years on the podcast, we've leaned into vision. However, not everybody, when they hear the question of what is your vision, have an answer to that, right? In fact, there's only 1% of the world that are really, really, really clear on what it is that they want. And there's 99% of the world that they do have some sort of vision. It's just that it may not be clear, or maybe they don't tie it to the word, like that whole question of what is your vision? And we stand for you. We stand for your quote unquote vision and what you get to create. And we want to support you in uncovering what that looks like so that you can get, and I want to say intimate with your vision, right? So you can get some clarity around that. So you know what you get to create this year. You know, when you're goal setting and setting your intentions, that you have something that you are working towards. And Carol has an experience where, for her, when she was asked that question over and over again, where she would experience that kind of shutdown, that kind of like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And we want to support you in not experiencing that, in having the tools in your back pocket that even if you hear us on the podcast saying like, step into your vision, right? Take aligned vision, decisions and actions and things like that, that you, in your heart, you know what it is that you're working towards. So, Carol, do you want to dive in and share, like,
I would
what
love
came
to.
up for you when you got asked that question of like, Carol, what is your vision?
I would really love to know if you have felt this way. What happened was somebody was coming to me directly and saying, "What is your vision?" And I would freeze. I would be like, I don't know. And, it was just then my head was in a spin and I was, why don't I have a vision? And I thought I kind of had a vision. So it was really interesting in the process of finding out what was going on. And my brain was not over in thrive mode. My brain was still in survive mode. And there's, as we've talked about before, fight, flight, freeze and fawn. And I would just freeze. I would just shut down. So it's been really interesting if you have had a struggle with your vision, even as a high achiever, thinking that you're driven. Sometimes we're driven and we're just going and we kind of have this target that we're going for, but it is not well defined. It's not really what a vision truly is. And this is what we're going to talk to you about today, because there are steps that you can take right now to start to uncover that vision in your heart, start to have that really clear direction around it, and prime your brain to walk into it. And that's the part that we both get so excited about, right, Alex?
And what I wanted to also say, like, sometimes we do use the term vision, but maybe it might be, some of your goals, some of the dreams, some image or something, when you say, well, one day I'd like to, sometimes we might say things like that. So we use the term vision, but it could also be just something that you foresee in the future that you would like to have or experience that we're really leaning into here. And why it is powerful. And I would just want to lean into, if you're someone that you are experiencing some uncertainty, why it is really powerful to have some sort of clarity on what it is that you want to create is that it's really powerful for neuroscience to keep you focused on that versus going back to the default of experiences of the past. The other thing too is our brains love certainty. Yeah. So when you have again, that clarity, and we often hear this, I mean, I don't know how many workshops, you go into, especially at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the quarter, and people are like, why did you come here today? And everyone's dropping the chat. I want clarity. I want clarity. I want clarity. Of course you want clarity because your brain's looking for the clarity because the clarity creates the
certainty.
The certainty. Sorry, I'm like, I know it's the certainty, right? Yeah. Which helps with feeling safe and secure. And we've got direction, especially for leaders, right? Like, I mean, that is what drives us, as Carol was saying. Like, we love that certainty to know what we're going after. And we want to ensure what we stand for is that whatever it is that you are working towards, that there's alignment there. Because when you're out of alignment, you experience cognitive dissonance. Yeah. And we know that a lot of times with women leaders, especially, you can experience burnout because of this, because you're doing all the things and there's all the things that you want, but for some reason they're not in alignment. And so that's why it's powerful to lean into getting really intimate with what is important to you and what is your vision? What is it you want to create? What are some of your dreams and things you want to experience? And which is great when you're operating from this place of clarity. But when you're not, like, I know for me, like with the burnout piece, when people came to me as well, like I just shut down too, because I was just looking at one day at a time at that point.
Yeah. It's keeping you in the busyness zone. Like you're not productive. You're just busy. You're just working. And that is a form of brain safety, like we've talked about. And, it's interesting because what I began to realize was that we're like diamonds and we're multifaceted. And so it's great to have that clarity and to be going for it, but we can also ask ourselves questions like Lianne was saying that are going to uncover more pieces. What's there in our hearts and really connecting the head with the heart to look at what we are desiring to believe, right? And vision priming is a huge part of what we do, right? Uncovering that beautiful dream, that idea, so that we're not in the spin. We're not over here in the burnout and working just to be working, just for that brain safety, and not really getting to what we want. Now, one of the things you said, Alex, that I really love is that the great thing I think is so important for you to know about vision is that when you have it, your brain goes to work for you behind the scenes. Right. And getting out of that cognitive dissonance and that certainty. We've talked about the three roots, what's that? Our episode number 2 or 3?
It's number 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Where we talk about the 3 roots of what your limiting beliefs go back to. And we have a need for safety, which is certainty, security. So I love this point. By bringing out your vision, you are providing your brain with security, with certainty, and your brain will go to work for you behind the scenes to make things happen. And do you want to dive into that a little bit about what happens when the brain goes behind the scenes? Because you were talking about the cognitive dissonance and it removes that, right?
And there's the reticular activating system. So that's kind of the behind the scenes piece, which once I discovered what the RAS was, the reticular activating system, I'm like, my mind was blown. Yeah. And basically what the RAS is, the reticular activating system is, I think I've heard it referred to, I think it was Tony Robbins talked about like the gatekeeper of like kind of the things that you see or you don't see in front of your eyes. But it's like it's having a conversation about a red car. And all of a sudden you go out, now you see all these red cars passing.
Everywhere.
Like they were always there. There were always red cars out on the road, but they never caught your attention because
focus,
they weren't top of mind, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's what becomes top of mind and what you get intimate with. I know we've said that word a couple times, but it's just what you are leaning into and what you're connected with, where your focus goes as well. So, for example, okay, let's go back to the red car thing. If you wanted to get a red car, your focus, right? When you go on Google, you're going to be looking at red cars. You're going to hone in and be more specific in what is that you're aiming for versus car, which can become very overwhelming when you're like, oh my goodness, I have, there's so many different cars out there.
Yeah.
But if the more specific that you get is like, I'm looking for a red car. I want it to be, 2-door. I want to have the heated seats, right? It's minus 20 something in Canada today, right? Like when you get more clear on what is that you want to create or what is that you're looking for, what you want, it makes things so much easier, which helps remove overwhelm. Gives the clarity in what is it you want to create. And then all of a sudden, not only does your Google search get way more defined and laser focused, but as you're out and about, now some of the cars that you've seen online, you start to see in person.
Yeah.
And again, they were already there, but you didn't know what to look for until you got clarity on what it is that you really wanted.
Yeah.
And so just really using the brain working for you. And there's some other, like, even like with energy, and I know Carol and I are not, where we are master neuro coaches. We're not masters in the energy work. However, I know Carol's done a lot of reading and studying in manifestation. And, we've learned a lot about your energy and your energy vibration, which does also play a role in that, right? So you're working with the neuroscience of your brain, and you're working with just how you are being in the energy and what you're attracting.
Yeah.
There's
and
also
the quantum physics too.
Yeah. So that was the word. I'm like, because I know that you've read a lot about the quantum physics. There's also one thing I wanted to say, Carol, as well, in terms of, the idea of vision can be quite big, and it can cause us to shut down because it can seem like a big thing. If you're listening to this and you're hearing us, we're like, okay, I'm hearing the importance of this, and we'll uncover a couple other things to support you. Sometimes we just get to start small, right? Especially as I shared earlier, when I was in my burnout, like when I had hit like my burnout, like now I'm, off for 6 months, and like I just really looking one day at a time. It's doing that. And just looking at one day at a time, one thing at a time, right? Of how you feel.
One moment at a time, just being in the present, really focusing. Actually, I was sharing with a client about that, the future was looking overwhelming. I said, just be right here, right in the present, not in the past, not in your experiences, and not in the future, and not even in the planning. But where you are right now in the present is you're safe and there are no problems. It's just right now, just be here and breathe. And starting from that place, from there, then you actually can start to plan, like you were saying. And I appreciate too, this talking about the focus. One of the catchphrases that stuck with me was what you focus on grows. So the red car, when the RAS is activated and all you can see are the red cars out there, it's because your focus has changed. Your focus is on the red car. But the saying that goes along with that is what you resist persists. So if you're busy going, I don't want a red car, you're still going to see red cars. Right. And so what do you desire? What is it that is within you? And again, going back to that diamond analogy where we're faceted, we're multi-variables, and with what we have inside of ourselves, we can really get to a lot more of what we truly do desire through those questions. As I remember when I was just in the freeze, it was when I learned that it was a different set of questions. And when I started working with clients, that was one of the things that I would do is rather than saying, hey, what's your vision? Asking the question, giving someone a chance to share that if they had that. But if they didn't, learning to say, okay, what do you like to do? What have you been doing? And, what do you think your next step is? Breaking it down to the small and, what makes your heart leap? Um, what would you like to create? And just starting a discovery process of what is inside of you and what excites you. And it might not make sense, might not be logical, might not be what you're doing right now. And that's all okay because you just get to get curious and start to look at what you think you might be excited about, and do it by asking yourself those quality questions that may not really seemingly have anything to do with vision right up front. I was like, do you like to cook? Do you like to analyze things? What are your hobbies? Coming at it from a different direction so that what you focus on does grow, and what you maybe have been resisting isn't what you're focusing on any longer, right? Instead, you're really focusing on the red car you want. Yeah.
Well, and I think going back to that resistance piece is I have found, right, when you've been doing personal development and leadership work for a while, it does get easier when you get asked the question of like, what do you want? What's your vision?
Yeah.
Because you're in the work and you're doing it. If you're just getting started or it's been a while, sometimes one of the easiest places to start is to look at what do you not want?
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Like, what do you not want to feel?
Yeah.
What are the things that are making you unhappy? Right. And because our brains automatically go to the negative, right? They have the automated negative thought, right? So sometimes it's easier to start there. Make it easy on yourself. Start with all the things that you don't want. Look at or think about sometimes something else that's supportive. Just thinking about somebody that maybe has what you want, or maybe you don't know at the moment that you maybe want that, but maybe is there someone out there that you're maybe feeling jealous about?
Yeah.
Right. And maybe their jealousy is coming because you want what they have, right? Like a lot of this is being curious, and there's no right or wrong way to go about this. And I think that's what we're leaning into in our brain, right? Like our brain sometimes experience the shutdown because you might have been told, well, you can't have that.
Yeah.
And we're inviting you to give yourself permission to dream, right? To get curious, to
be playful.
I love that. Be playful. Yeah. Just to be playful, right?
Yeah.
To have fun with this. Right. And if resistance does come up, that's okay.
Yeah.
And maybe you get to put on some music and dance it out or something.
Yeah. I mean, the resistance is really what you were saying, even starting from the place of what you don't want. When we start to look at vision for ourselves, our brain often will go into that resistance, and it will often present what you don't want or can't have or shouldn't have, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, all of that. And we take you through a process where you definitely want to have that awareness because that gets exciting. But one of the things back to vision, I know we're going to talk about this. We've got a future episode coming up on some things about leaning in there, which is exciting. And we also really want you to know that in the curiosity is where the creativity starts to flourish. And that's where the vision starts to come alive. The playfulness, right? The what makes your heart leap, what gets you excited. And that brings you into a different energy, doesn't it, Alex? I mean, that's the part that I love is it's not this suppressive negative default that we have. It's taking us to maybe that dream is possible. Could it be possible? Starting to entertain that idea and not to be overly concerned when, things come in to shut that down. The thoughts come in to shut that down. Oh, that can't happen because, Aunt Mary said X. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's one other like, sort of thing that you could also do, listener, like, as we're thinking of like different ways to support you in getting some clarity on what it is that you want, is even asking other people, like,
Yeah.
like asking them, like, what is your vision, or what are your goals, or what are some things you'd like to experience? I was having a conversation with a friend earlier today, and he shared to me about this Viking world cruise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, what's that all about? Right. Cause
I want to go on one of those. Yeah.
And then like another friend of mine had her hat on the other day, and I was like, oh, what is that on your forehead? And she talked to me about the Everesting. So I learned about this Everesting, and like Andrew loves to hike. So, it's just by being curious and having conversations with other people, you can learn also about other things that you might have never have thought about that.
Yeah.
Hey, that sounds like something I would like to do, or I like to experience. And so it goes back to, I love that word playful, Carol. It's almost like the intention of this episode, I think, is to invite you to have some fun with this and get playful, right? Gift yourself some time to, even just look through some magazines. I did a vision workshop last week, and they really went back to the tangible and the power of still having like a vision board and having fun looking and researching and gifting yourself that time to just to play and have fun with it and let those creativity juices flow. So, we're in a new year, right? 2024. And if you haven't taken some time to ask yourself, like, what is it you want to experience, or what is it you want to create? Or, I love the question of what is that you want. And I will admit to you that I had been asked that question over and over again a couple of years ago, and I shut down. And that's what we're saying. We're trying to also support you. We want to support you in providing other ways for you to still, connect with what's important to you and what, right? You have one life to live. So live it to the fullest, right? That's always something that I always stand by, like, get to live your life to the fullest. And that's what we want to support you with today. So, Carol, anything else before we wrap up here?
Yeah, actually, Alex, Lianne, I think you brought out 3 calls to action that we would love to leave you with. And the first one was break it down small. The second one was, well, actually, I think there was 4. There was get curious, start asking yourself questions. And the third was figure out what you don't want if you need to. That's a great place to start. I know I don't want this. I know I don't want that. And fourth, you mentioned asking others what their visions are. So those are some great tips to help you to start to uncover what's in your heart. What is, something that is going to provide you, as you were just saying, Alex, Lianne, with this full, abundant life that you've been gifted with. And I do want to share with you, in light of that, you can jump into something I just got going right now. It is a Principles of Wealth private podcast, and we'll put the link in the show notes. You'll be learning about a principle of wealth for Monday through Friday for 3 different months. And this is really going to help you to open up and increase the abundance in your life. Not just that, no matter where you're at, if you've got the wealth like I've had, you're going to start to see that there are actual immutable laws in motion that you can follow that are going to be in alignment with your values and are going to draw out that life that you really are desiring to live, a prosperous life, a heart-centered life, a fulfilled life. So, yeah. Thank you. I'm so excited to share this with you and to be bringing it to you right now.
So head on over to our show notes and grab that with Carol. And Carol and I also both have our free gifts for the listeners. So head on over there. Also, we'd love to hear from you. So please leave a rating and review. Connect with us on socials. Let us know what you'd like for us to speak about and uncover when it comes to the neuroscience of your success. And we will see you on our next episode. Bye.
Ciao for now.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.